because I was trying these new miniguns, which I like. But, dude, they ran out of freaking ammo. So here I am trying to beat the stage with my fists, right? And then I finally got to the boss, luckily. And the boss was challenging and interesting and unique. And I beat the boss. Like, okay, great session, right? So at the end of the session, admittedly, I was a bit quizzically confused. And I was kind of scratching my head. Why is it that people quit at Baltius? What about that boss particularly made people rage so badly that these people wanted to quit the game and didn't want to play it again? The thing that really made me puzzled is that you know that Armored Core 6 is a FromSoft game. Everyone last year played Elden Ring. Even people who had never touched a FromSoft game before had played Elden Ring. So you know what you're in for. These FromSoft games have been around now for over a decade. Remember, Dark Souls 1 was 2011. So you're talking 12-year legacy of these games being out and being mainstream, and people know what they are. So it gets to me how confusing it is that people would have quit this game. All right? So last night, after trying to figure this out, I posted up on Twitter or X or whatever the fuck you want to call it, and I also posted up on my main channel page of my channel an honest question that I would like feedback on. And the question was, why? Oh, actually, I should just read it word for word. No, I'm going to read it word for word so that way there's no one can say, oh, that's not what you said or whatever. Okay, hold on. I'm going to read it word for word, the post. Ready? Here it is. Why did so many people rage quit Armored Core 6 at Baltius? And why are people saying the game is way hard? I legitimately don't get it. I would appreciate some feedback to talk about on Wednesday's podcast. Thanks. That's it. All right? There's nothing there that's gloating. There's nothing there that's saying, ha ha, I dominated the game and you didn't. All right? It's just me genuinely asking the question, why do you guys think that people say the game is so hard and that this boss is the rage quitting point? Because for me, being around the block, having played every major FromSoft game since Dark Souls, actually since Demon Souls at this point, I've definitely faced way harder challenges. I would argue that the Great Ape or the double Great Apes in Sekiro were way tougher than this. I would argue that many other bosses in general in FromSoft games have been giant walls of difficulty for me, and this just wasn't it for me, So, what are we talking about? What's really going on here? All right? And so, I had open replies on my tweet, my post on X, and I wanted to see what people had to say. So I got a variety of responses. Of course, first of all, I get some of the most ridiculously stupid, over-the-top, dumb-ass responses that you would ever get whenever you have open, responses. You're going to get your hater base responding. Someone literally said this. I'm not shitting you. Oh, did you leave your responses open on this post for clout? Did I leave open responses on a random post on the X app to gain clout? Because we all know that when Darkside Phil has an open response post on the X app, it's mainstream news. Did you know that this morning, Kotaku, IGN, and GameSpot all had front page articles about how Darkside Phil has an open post on fucking Twitter? I mean, wow! Yeah, that's exactly why I did it. Or maybe I wanted some responses so I could talk about it today. Anyway. Now I'm clicking the wrong thing. Anyway. Of course, you get people who actually have a point, but because they're just so used to everything they're saying towards me being hateful and negative, they have to say it in a very insulting way. So what I had to do is I had to kind of sift through a lot of shit to get to the point. I think people actually had a point, but the problem is no one on the internet knows how to say anything like an intelligent human, okay? So here's essentially the point that a lot of people made, and I will actually intelligently respond to it. So you're an interactive streamer, right? I am. You're absolutely correct. I am. When you're playing a game like Armored Core 6, a lot of people in your chat are telling you about the game. And so, as you're fighting this boss, you're getting some advice, you're getting some, tips that other people don't get. A lot of streamers who are hardcore into the FromSoft games outright tell their audiences, I'm not allowing any advice or spoilers unless I ask for it. So seriously, unless I say something to you and say, I need help, they don't allow their audience to try to spoil or help. And if they do, they actually have their moderators ban them outright from the chat. Okay? I think that's a little harsh. You know, someone trying to help you. It's a difference between a major story spoiler that's ruining the entirety of the game or someone just saying, hey, try this weapon. It's a little different, I think. But hey, some people, I guess, are that harsh where they literally just want everything to be earned, like legit get good mentality kind of a deal. I would think those are the kind of people who, like, Armored Core 6 was a giant game for them. Like, they love FromSoft, and they love it so much, they don't want anything to be soiled or spoiled for them. So to them, having that kind of feedback is a negative, and they just don't allow it. For me, let's be honest here. Number one, I wasn't even going to play Armored Core 6. I told you guys I never played a Met Combat game before. I was going to skip it entirely. All right? I'm only playing it because someone actually donated it to see if I would like it. Number two, this is a game that isn't even really fitting into my schedule at this point. As we all know, the major releases for September for me will be Starfield, continuing with Street Fighter 6, Lies of P, and Mortal Kombat 1. Maybe Sea of Stars in there somewhere, and then maybe something at the end of the month, but that's essentially what I'm focusing on. Everyone knows that. If I play this game longer, all right, basically, we'll see what happens, all right? But, you know, it wasn't really a big investment for me. So, since this is a game that, obviously, I'm kind of testing the waters to see if you'll like it, if I'll like it, it kind of makes sense to not have me stuck on a boss for 17 hours. And if someone's offering a little bit of advice on the boss, I'm not going to say, oh, ban you for doing that. In fact, that person who had said use the plasma or buy a plasma gun essentially was giving me a huge tip on how to face this boss. Now, I didn't know that at first. I didn't have the plasma gun at first when I fought him, but I did adjust the plasma gun on the fly, tried it, and wow, this is working really well. I'm glad that I got that piece of advice. The lock-on advice, that was huge. Without that, I wouldn't have been able to even follow the boss and see where it had gone on the screen. I would have been flubbing about. So yeah, there was definitely some key pieces of advice. Absolutely. That helped out. That's called being an interactive streamer. But you know what? There's a fair point there. Not everyone's an interactive streamer, right? Some streamers want no advice, and a lot of people who maybe are sitting around playing this game for themselves aren't getting that help. So maybe that's what it is. And then I started to think, see, and this is what I mean. That feedback is actually very valid feedback, and I like it. But sadly, a lot of people just couldn't say that in a nice way and say, Phil, the reason you're maybe not, you know, hating on the game as much as others is because you had some people help you with it. But in reality, it's really hard to fight that boss without that help first. But instead of people saying it nicely like that, literally no one said that. It was, oh, because you're a piece of shit and you suck at games, so your handheld stream chat has to do this. You know, real fuck faces. Real people who just don't know how to speak to someone. That if they said that to someone's face in person, they get slapped in real life by someone because they're so disrespectful. But they think it's fair game because you could just say it to someone on the internet and get away with it. You know, it's fucked up antisocial idiots. That's the kind of responses that I get. But that doesn't invalidate their points. The points they're making, I feel, actually are valid. Yeah, if I didn't have that plasma gun, if I hadn't bought it before this boss would have been way worse. If I hadn't known about the lock-on, this boss would have been way worse. I have to agree with these points, okay? So, fair enough, valid points. However, I will say this, and this is what a lot of people don't realize. Tons of streamers out there are just like me, and I hate to tell you this, way worse when it comes to having people hold their hands. There's streamers out there that literally the way that they play games is just as a social thing with their audience. This is all they do. If they're going to play a game, they're just going to have their audience tell them what to do entirely. I've seen streamers, literally, it's like they're not even playing the game. It's their audience is playing the game for them, okay? It's valid content creation because these people are popular and they make a living doing it. All right? Not everyone is a get good kind of streamer, but here's the thing. I hate to say it, a toxic fan base of hate watchers. Yes, it's a fan base, but it's a fan base of hate watchers. Okay? So again, to them, if I'm not struggling in something, and if I'm actually succeeding, it's not entertaining. So God forbid, I'm having a good time with my audience. We're having positive conversation. I'm enjoying the game. They see that there's some hard stuff coming up, and they toss me a little bit of a bone, so that way when I fight this boss, it's an hour to an hour and a half instead of 7 hours, right? What was more enjoyable yesterday? Seeing me struggle a little bit on the boss, learn slowly, get the pattern, switch back to the sword, and beat him in epic fashion, or see me play that boss for 3 streams and be very upset and not enjoy the game? What would have been the better option? I think anyone who's not a toxic, hate-watching asshole would say option 1 is the best option. But that's the problem. These idiots follow me around and just don't understand that's not who I am. Don't care about you. If all you hate watchers disappeared tomorrow, I would do better off. You like to justify your existence as if somehow you're the reason I still have any popularity. You couldn't be further from the truth. If you fuckfaces went away tomorrow, I could actually be here having fun with my audience and not have toxic stuff thrown at me constantly, and I'd actually for once be able to thrive. I'd have positivity instead of negativity. You're the reason I'm held down, not the reason I still exist. So the moment the hate watchers go away, it's like paradise. But the problem is, they're never going to go away, and we know that. I've been doing this now for long enough to realize this scumbag group will never stop being a black cloud over my head. All right? But you have to understand something. That doesn't invalidate the fact that I had fun and my viewers are having fun with this game. Just because I'm not playing the game in line with these super duper try hard ultra get good streamers, the ones who are the FromSoft aficionados who absolutely need to prove the size of their e-penises by playing this game with 0 help and really just going crazy hardcore into it and earning it all for themselves. I don't care. I'm not playing Armored Core 6 for that. I never was. I wasn't even going to play the game at all. You understand? That's not who I am. That's not what this was going to be. So, fuck off. Nobody cares about your opinion besides you and your hate watching circle grouping Jew. Circle grouping. That's what I just said. Circle grouping. That's right. Seriously. So, it's just simple. I like the game, and maybe I like it more than others because I'm actually having a positive experience with it, because we're having a great stream of it, because people are actually being nice. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying every single time that I face a boss, I want people to immediately throw all the solutions at me. And that's not even what happened with this boss, right? I had a legit amount of time to try to learn stuff, and then people started giving me advice and things based on the things I wasn't doing. It worked out pretty well, I feel. I would say a boss like that, that's supposed to be a skill check, took about an hour, 15 minutes for me to beat. That's fair. In any FromSoft game, you're going to have those kind of skill check walls, and that's perfectly fine, right? So I'm happy with the way it went. I really enjoyed that segment. And when I'm asking for feedback, I actually got legit feedback. Sadly, the feedback had to be completely laden with disgusting negative insults and all kinds of fucked up stuff, but at least I got my feedback. So if you play this game as a try hard, get good, no help, no social experience, I just want to fucking play and prove the size of my e-dick kind of experience, the game's really hard. Okay. Fair enough. I get it. Because if I didn't have that plasma gun or whatever, I probably would have had a lot more trouble with this boss. I kind of get it. But at the same time, when you're playing a FromSoft game, aren't you used to that by now? Aren't you used to that's what you're getting into? I mean, maybe what it is maybe Elden Ring had too much of a crutch, right? Maybe with Elden Ring, with the Ash summons or whatever, so many people got used to the game allowing them to pass stuff by summoning. You don't do that in this game. And wait, I have to do it by myself? Oh, fuck. I can't do it. Maybe that's what it is, all right? Someone else actually had a really interesting take, and I really like this one, all right? Listen to this. The bosses, which the game is built around, are individually built to hard counter certain build types. If people come into this like a Souls game where you can just set up your build and find a way to play the entire game with just that build, they will hit a wall at some point. And I actually will agree with you there. In fact, I think that's why the game was set up with the fact that there's checkpoints, and that whenever you reach a boss, if you die on that boss, okay, you can rebuild your mech right at that checkpoint. That's why the person had recommended, hey, just buy a plasma gun. So that way if you get to the point of the game where you need it, you have it, right? So that's tremendous. That's an interesting gameplay mechanic. Instead of it just being, well, here's your build, get to the boss, steamroll the game because your build is overpowered. Instead, it's, well, try this build. Did it work? No. All right, try another build. Did it work? No. And this game should be commended because the checkpoints so far have been absolutely outstanding. and the ability to build your mech or rebuild your mech right before the boss is a great idea. So I really, I'm looking at this game and I'm really strongly trying to look for like things to criticize. And I'm like, what can I honestly criticize about the game? Well, the environments are pretty empty. They don't look real. They look like they're video game stages set up from the PS2 era. That's true. That's a valid criticism. Okay?